Okay, so picture this. You grab your sunscreen bottle, a simple promise of protection against the sun. But is it really that straightforward? What if there's a whole other layer to this story? It's fascinating, isn't it, how we accept sunscreen as this ultimate protector. It's so baked into our routines, but yeah, digging in, like we tend to do, you just find some really surprising stuff. Nuances. And that's what we're doing here today on this deep dive. I'm really getting to the science and honestly, well, controversies surrounding sunscreen. I've looked at quite a bit of research, and one thing jumps out straight away. There are really different ways sunscreen work. You got chemical ones, mineral ones, and they operate completely different. Yeah, that difference in mechanism is key, isn't it? It unlocks this whole conversation. And today I'm going to bring some clarity onto that, cut through the marketing buzz, just give some solid information on what you need to know to make the right choices without needing a PhD in chemistry. Chemical versus mineral. What's the actual fundamental difference in how they protect our skin? So the main thing they deal with is UV radiation. Chemical sunscreens, they use these specific chemical filters, and these chemicals actually absorb the UV rays when they hit your skin. Then they sort of convert that energy into heat, which is then released. So absorbs, converts, heats. One thing to remember is this process takes a little while to get going. You need to give it about 20 minutes, as most bottles say, to wait 15 to 20 minutes after applying it to become fully effective. So chemical sunscreens are the ones with ingredients we sometimes recognize. That's oxybenzone, avobenzone, octocrylene, optinoxate. Those are the common chemical filters within chemical-based sunscreens. Their molecules specifically are designed to soak up UV light. And now, mineral sunscreen works completely different. They use physical mineral ingredients. Mostly you're looking at zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, the white ones. Yeah, these minerals create a physical barrier literally right on the surface of your skin. Think of it like tiny little mirrors spread across your skin. They reflect and scatter UV rays before they even get a chance to penetrate. Okay, so one absorbs and the other one blocks or flecks. But this is where things get a little more complicated, right? Yeah, so we start hearing about kind of a shadow side to the chemical option. What are the concerns the research is pointing to? This is where it gets a bit unexpected for some people. We use sunscreen to protect our skin, obviously. But some studies suggest certain chemical sunscreens might have, well, unintended side effects. Let's start with something called oxidative stress, which is one of my favorite words in my vocabulary, and you will hear me talk about it a lot. Oxidative stress. What is it exactly, and what chemicals are linked to it? So oxidative stress is basically when there is an imbalance in your body. Too many harmful molecules called free radicals, not enough antioxidants to fight them, like biological rust. It can damage cells, including your skin cells, and some research indicates that chemical filters, namely like capsules, oxybenzone, again, and thranolite might actually increase oxidative stress in the skin when they're exposed to UV. Wait, so the thing that's meant to stop UV damage might trigger another type of damage when hit by UVs? It seems paradoxical, doesn't it? Yeah, it definitely raises questions about the overall benefits versus potential harms for certain ingredients. Okay, yeah, that's a big one to think about. And that's not the only concern. Another significant issue with chemical sunscreens is allergic reactions. I think lots of people have had that sunscreen that just makes their face and skin just freak out. Are chemical filters more likely to do that? Definitely. Oxybenzone, oh, there it is again. Ivobenzone and oxocrylene are known culprits for causing allergic reactions in some people. So what kind of reactions? Redness, itchiness, and even little blisters in some more severe cases. So if you reacted badly to sunscreen before, it's worth checking those labels to make sure one of those ingredients are not on them. But the concerns go deeper than skin irritation, don't they? This, for me, is a big factor. There's talk about chemical sunscreens getting into the body and potentially messing with hormones. This is a really active area of research, And yeah, a major point of discussion. Studies have shown that quite a bit of chemical sunscreen ingredients can actually penetrate way deep in the skin. They have been found in the bloodstream, and sometimes its levels are higher than what the FDA considers safety thresholds for systemic exposure, higher than the safety limit. Yikes. And the worry there is that these chemicals act as endocrine disruptors, meaning they might interfere with the body's natural hormone systems, and the oxybenzone pops up right up there too. Seems to be a recurring theme. Oxybenzone has faced lots of scrutiny, not just for potential human health effects, but also for environmental damages, especially for coral reefs, right? So the reef ban, Hawaii, Palau, Thailand too. And it's interesting, you could actually see this reflected in these markets. In the US, its use in sunscreens actually plummeted. It was something like in 60% of products back in 2019, 60%. By 2023, it was down only by 13%. That's a huge drop. It shows that public awareness and these concerns are really driving change. So manufacturers are moving away from it too. Okay, but that's not the only main ingredient we need to talk about. I remember reading something about contamination or chemical breakdown. There's another layer, a really crucial one. Independent labs have done tests, and they have found benzene in about 27% of chemical sunscreen samples they looked at. Benzene. Isn't that a known carcinogen? It is. And the alarming thing is that it shouldn't be in sunscreen at all. It's a contaminant, not an ingredient. And then there's the degradation issue. Take octocrylene, another common chemical filter. Studies have shown it can break down over time into something called benzophenone. And benzophenone it's listed as a suspected carcinogen and also a potential hormone disruptor. One study tested 16 different sunscreens that contained octocrylene. All of them showed signs of this degradation. So products could be fine when you buy it, but over time, sitting on your shelf, it could develop these potentially harmful chemicals. These are the sort of hidden dangers that are beyond just what are listed as the active ingredients. Man, this is a lot to take in. You slap on this stuff thinking you're doing the right thing. And then there's all these potential harmful issues. Let's maybe switch gears slightly. How do we even know how much protection we're even getting? Let's decode labels. There's SPF and PA ratings. What do they actually mean? SPF means sun protection factor. We see it everywhere. SPF 30, SPF 50, SPF 100. Primarily, SPF tells you how much the sunscreen protects against UVB rays. UVB is mainly responsible for causing sunburns. So the higher the SPF, the longer I can stay without getting burned. Is that really how it works though? That's the common assumption, but that's not quite right. It's not a direct measure of time and more about the amount of UV energy. Energy, not minutes. Think about it. The sun is way more intense at 1 p.m. than it is at 9 a.m. So you may get the same amount of UV energy at 15 minutes at 1 p.m. as you would in an hour at 9 a.m. SPF 30 means it takes 3 times the amount of UV energy to burn your protected skin over your unprotected skin. So it's about the total doses of UV, factoring in intensity and time, and things like my skin type and how thickly I apply it and reapply it. No SPF gives 100% full protection. How you use it is just as critical as the number. You have to apply enough and reapply often. Now, PA ratings, you see them more often on Japanese and Korean sunscreens usually. PA plus signs, PA plus 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 plus, and PA ratings measure protection against UVA rays. UVA, those are the aging rays, right? The ones that go deeper? That's them. UVA is linked more to premature skin aging, wrinkles, sunspots, and that deeper long-term damage. The PA systems gives you an idea of the level of UVA protection. It goes from PA plus, PA plus plus, PA plus plus plus, and finally PA plus 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 plus, which is the highest level. So if you're concerned about aging and long-term health, a good PA rating is also quite important. It gives you a more complete picture on the protection you're getting. Okay, so SPF for burn and PA for skin aging and deeper damage. Now with all this info swirling around, especially online, there are bound to be some myths. Let's tackle a few of the common ones. So misinformation can be a big problem here. It can either scare people away from sunscreen entirely, which is not ideal, or lead them to make choices that are, well, based on bad info. Okay, so one I hear a lot, all chemical sunscreens are bad and all mineral ones are totally safe. Is it really that black and white? No. Like we've discussed, there are totally valid concerns about chemical filters that are based on research. Being aware is good, but not all of them are automatically dangerous. It's an oversimplification to paint them all with the same brush. On the flip side, while mineral sunscreens have a better safety profile, they don't penetrate the skin much, which means less irritation factor. However, they aren't perfect either. The main drawback people mention is cosmetic, and this personally is something that I have an issue with. That white cast they can leave, especially on darker skin. It can be a real issue for usability. I know for me, it dissuades me from wanting to put sunscreen, and actually I didn't put sunscreen on this morning because I didn't want to look like a ghost. Which brings us to our myth number 2. People with dark skin don't need sunscreen. This is actually one that I believed for a long time in my life. Really persistent but harmful myth. Yes, melanin does provide a bit of sun protection naturally, but it's not complete immunity. People with dark skin absolutely still get sunburns. And more importantly, they're still at risk for skin cancer and UV-induced aging. Sunscreen benefits everyone, period. Okay, so what about this? Always go for the highest SPF rating. SPF 100 is way better than SPF 30, right? True. Well, it sounds logical, but the increase in protection gets smaller and smaller at the higher end. SPF 30 protects about 97% of UVB rays. SPF 50 blocks about 98% of UVB rays. And SPF 100 blocks 99% of UVB rays. So going from 50 to 100 only gets you 1% more protection. It's a very small margin, and the potential trade-offs is that these super high SPFs products have often a higher concentration of those chemical filters we talked about before. So potentially more exposure to the stuff we might be concerned about for very little extra benefit. Often the most practical and effective thing is just using a good SPF 30 or SPF 30, SPF 50, applying it generously and reapplying it regularly. Consistent application beats high number of SPF that you're probably not even using properly. Okay, so last myth. Slapping on sunscreen right as you leave the door is a-okay. Well, it depends. If it's mineral sunscreen, you betcha. It works physically right away, as we discussed. Those tiny mirrors are reflecting the sun. So if it's chemical sunscreen, remember, yeah, it takes a while to absorb and start actually working. So if you apply it and just run out the door, you're basically running out unprotected until it starts. A little pre-planning is needed for chemical-based applications. And that's a really practical difference to remember. Okay, so let's pull this all together. Based on everything, what's a practical takeaway? How can people make good decisions based on their own needs? If you know you have sensitive skin or tend to react to skincare products, mineral sunscreens are usually the best way to go. Just zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, they're much less likely to cause irritation. Okay, so what about people for darker skin tones who are worried about white cast from minerals? I mean, personally, I use the white cast because I have not found a sunscreen that works best. I have also been lazy to find one that works best because I could easily get a tinted sunscreen. In general, formulations within the mineral-based sunscreen industry have gotten a lot better. Look for minerals that are tinted, like I said. Those are options. Or use micronized or nanoparticles, though nano has its own discussion sometimes. But basically these formulas are made to blend in much better and they minimize chalkiness. So it might take some trial and error, but there are better options. They exist. And given the safety profile of mineral-based sunscreens, it's often worth the search to find one that works for you. Okay, so what about people who are like super active, right? sweating, swimming, all of that. This is where it gets a little tricky. Historically, chemical-based sunscreens often had better water resistance because they absorbed into the skin. So they're less likely to wash off, but you have to weigh that into the potential absorption concerns we talked about before. Now, there are water-based mineral options out there too. They just might need more frequent reapplication. And if you're sweating and in the water a lot, yeah, you're going to need to reapply often. But they do avoid the systemic absorption issue, and it's just safer. But yeah, attention to reapplication will be a thing. And so finally, for people who use makeup, daily application, a lot of people really like the feel of chemical sunscreens. I mean, I also personally do. They're a lot lighter, more cosmetically elegant. They layer fine, I guess, better on makeup. But again, you have to balance that feel and finish with the potential downsides, oxidative stress risks, and potential irritation from those chemical filters. And like I said, mineral formulations are improving all the time. You can find some really cosmetically elegant mineral-based sunscreens out there in the market, especially if you are of a fair skin tone, that don't produce as much white cast for your skin tone. But again, the darker skin tone people got to factor that in. But options are expanding. So, number one, bottom line, sun protection is crucial for everyone. But the type of sunscreen we use really does matter. It's time to move beyond just picking any bottle off the shelf and start making more informed choices based on what we now know. And it seems like the core difference between mineral-based and chemical-based sunscreens is central to that informed choice. Chemical sunscreens, while they can feel nice to apply, comes with a growing body of research flagging potential risks, hormone effects, allergic reactions, and contamination. Those ingredients I mentioned before being phased out speaks volumes. And look, the goal is not to be scared of sunscreens. It's the opposite. It's empowerment through knowledge. Understand the SPF and PA ratings, apply enough and often, and choose products you feel good about that prioritize safety and effectiveness for your skin. So next time you pick up that sunscreen, just take that extra second to think about what's inside it. It seems like a small thing, but it could be pretty significant for your health in the long run. And just to leave you guys with something to chew on, we're all being told to use sunscreen daily, right? I mean, I'm telling you that right now. What might be the really long-term effects on us and on the environment of this widespread daily use of these different kinds of chemicals and minerals? And where does the research need to go next to give us clear answers? Something to ponder on until our next deep dive.